Jack rode across the endless red dunes, his horse struggling through the coarse alien sand. The sun of Crimson Sands was harsh, casting long shadows that twisted over the jagged rocks. Jack wiped sweat from his brow, ignoring the way the wind carried tiny grains of sand into his eyes. He had been traveling for days alone, searching for whatever he could trade or sell to survive. Out here there was no law, no towns, just dangerous deserts and strange creatures that could kill without warning. Humans called this place the frontier, but Jack knew it was more than that. It was survival. His horse snorted, stopping abruptly. Jack squinted at the horizon. A dark shape cut into the glowing red dunes, almost hidden by the sandstorm forming in the distance. He felt relief surge through him. Shelter. Even a small cave would be better than the storm waiting to swallow him whole. He spurred his horse forward, galloping across the dunes. As he approached the shelter, a strange feeling crawled up his spine. This wasn't just a cave, it looked carved and shaped by hands, not nature. Strange symbols etched along the entrance shimmered faintly, glowing blue under the sun's harsh glare. Jack's curiosity overcame caution. He dismounted and led his horse closer. Probably empty, he muttered, pushing aside a hanging curtain of woven alien fibers. The shelter was small, dimly lit by a strange crystal embedded in the wall. Jack took a step inside. The smell of herbs and earth hit him instantly, and a soft sound, a rustle, echoed from the back. Before he could react, a figure leaped from the shadows. Jack barely had time to raise his arms. The alien woman's movement was faster than he could follow. She carried a bow unlike anything he had seen, glowing faintly along its edges. Her eyes, sharp and focused, locked on him. "Who are you?" she demanded in a clear, commanding voice. Jack held up his hands. "Easy, I'm just looking for shelter from the storm." "Lies," she shouted, firing a thin beam of energy that zipped past his shoulder. Jack ducked instinctively, rolling behind a low table. His heart raced. He had faced bandits and wild creatures before, but nothing like this. "I'm not your enemy," he shouted, peeking over the table. "I mean no harm." The woman's bow hummed as she advanced, eyes narrowing. Her movements were elegant and precise, a dance of strength and agility. Jack realized fighting her head-on would be foolish. He needed another plan. Slowly, he lowered his arms, showing he was unarmed. The storm outside howled, rattling the shelter walls. Sand sifted in through cracks, swirling like tiny ghosts. Jack realized that neither of them could stay here safely if the storm hit full force. He spoke quickly. "Look, maybe we can help each other. The storm, it could bury us alive." For a long moment, she studied him, the bow trembling in her hands. Then, with a swift motion, she relaxed slightly but kept the bow ready. "Why should I trust a human trespasser?" she asked. "Because if we don't, we die," Jack said simply. "And I can help hold the shelter together while the wind tears at it." She hesitated. Then, almost reluctantly, she lowered the bow. "Fine," she said. "But one wrong move and you're finished." Jack nodded and approached the wall that shook under the storm's force. He examined the support beams and loose stones, and within minutes, he had begun reinforcing the structure with what little tools he carried. The woman, he realized her name later was Ayana, watched silently, occasionally adjusting the walls herself. Hours passed in tense silence. The storm raged outside, loud enough that Jack could barely hear his own thoughts. At one point, a large gust forced a wall section to crack. Jack leapt forward, bracing it with a sturdy beam. Ayana's eyes widened with surprise. "You're strong," she said. "And human," Jack replied with a grin, though sweat dripped into his eyes. "We survive by being clever, too." A small crack of a smile appeared on her lips, almost hidden by her seriousness. Jack noticed the way she moved, every step calculated, every motion precise. He could tell she had been trained for this her whole life. When the storm finally began to fade, the shelter was battered but intact. Jack sat against a wall, breathing heavily. "Not bad for teamwork, huh?" he said. Ayana glanced at him. "You helped save this place. I will not forget it, but you must leave now. You have seen more than you should." Jack shook his head. "I can't just leave. Not after what we've been through together. And besides, I'd like to know who you are. You're not from around here, are you?" Her eyes narrowed. "I am Ayana, daughter of the chief of the Crimson Sky clan. You have entered a sacred place without permission. Many would call that death." Jack blinked, stunned. "You're the chief's daughter?" he asked. He had trespassed into the most dangerous family in the region without knowing. His stomach turned. I had no idea. I swear, Ahyana didn't speak immediately. She studied him for a long moment, then finally said, "Your honesty. It may save your life. But trust must be earned." Jack nodded. "Then I'll earn it." For the next few days, the two remained in the shelter while the desert calmed. Jack learned more about Ahyana's people. The Crimson Sky clan had lived on this planet for generations, mastering both technology and their connection to the strange flora and fauna around them. They could move silently, track creatures across miles of desert, and survive conditions that would kill an ordinary human in hours. Jack, in return, shared what he knew about humans, their tools, strategies, and survival skills. Ahyana listened carefully, sometimes skeptical, sometimes amused. Jack's approach was different from her people's methods. More direct, sometimes reckless, but she saw that it worked. One night, Jack watched her as she tended a small crystal fire, her face glowing softly. He realized she was not just a warrior. She was thoughtful, intelligent, and kind in ways her training didn't always allow her to show. He felt a strange respect, even admiration. She was alien, but she reminded him of humans he had known, strong, capable, and independent. Suddenly, the shelter shook. Jack jumped up. A low growl echoed from outside. Ahyana's eyes snapped open. "A predator," she said sharply. "They follow the storms. We must act quickly." Jack grabbed his makeshift spear. Together, they moved to the shelter's entrance. Ahyana knocked a glowing arrow, her form tense and ready. The creature emerged, a massive desert beast with multiple eyes and long, sharp claws moving faster than Jack could track. Jack lunged forward, distracting it just enough for Ahyana to fire her arrow. It struck the creature, glowing energy searing through its tough hide. The beast roared, charging at them. Jack dodged, then grabbed a falling beam from the shelter and swung it with all his might. The creature stumbled and fell into a small pit outside the shelter, finally subdued. Ahyana exhaled sharply, then glanced at Jack. "You are reckless," she said, though a hint of a smile appeared. "But brave," Jack shrugged. "I do what I must to survive." That night, after the danger passed, they sat together in silence, listening to the desert wind outside. Jack realized he had entered her world by accident, yet he had learned more than he could have imagined. Ahyana had saved him as much as he had helped her. For the first time, he felt he wasn't just a lone cowboy. He was part of something bigger. Ahyana looked at him, her eyes reflecting both caution and curiosity. "You have a human heart," she said softly. "That may be your greatest strength, or your greatest weakness." Jack smiled faintly, feeling the weight of her words. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was clear. Surviving Crimson Sands wasn't just about fighting the elements. It was about understanding the people who lived here, even if they were alien. And perhaps, just perhaps, trust and respect could grow in a place where neither had expected it. The desert outside remained harsh and unforgiving. But inside the small shelter, two warriors, one human, one alien, sat together, learning that survival sometimes meant more than strength. It meant courage, trust, and the willingness to step into someone else's world, even by mistake. And Jack knew, deep down, that this encounter would change him forever. Daniel's boots crunched over the dusty alien sand as he trudged across the desert. The twin suns of this strange planet were low in the sky, painting everything in a harsh orange light. His body ached, his mouth was dry, and every step felt heavier than the last. He had not meant to end up here. His shuttle had broken down miles from any known colony, and he had been walking for hours just to find something resembling shelter. He only wanted a place to sleep, a chance to rest, and maybe, if he was lucky, some water. That was all. The desert stretched endlessly around him, with jagged rocks that seemed to reach for the sky and sand that shifted like waves in a strange, silent ocean. He squinted at the horizon, wondering if he might collapse before he found anything. And then, almost like a gift, he saw a valley tucked between two cliffs, glowing faintly as if illuminated from within. Smoke spiraled gently into the air from somewhere inside. Daniel's curiosity, along with exhaustion, pushed him forward. As he crested a small ridge, he saw the village below. Small huts made from a mix of local stone and salvaged metal glinted under the dying sunlight. The air smelled faintly sweet, a strange comfort in this otherwise barren land. For a moment, he forgot his fatigue. There were signs of life here, and that meant safety. He approached slowly, not wanting to alarm whoever might live here. As he entered the village, he was met with silence, broken only by the soft rustle of leaves and the distant sound of running water. Then he noticed movement. 3 women appeared from behind the huts. They were unlike any humans he had ever seen. Though he recognized their features immediately, they were human, but their skin had a slight shimmer, their eyes unusually bright, and their movements had a grace that suggested strength and purpose. "Who are you?" one of them asked, her voice calm but firm. She was tall, with dark hair braided over her shoulder. I'm Daniel," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady despite exhaustion. "My shuttle crashed. I just need a place to sleep." The 3 women exchanged looks. One of them, shorter than the others but with eyes that seemed to miss nothing, smiled faintly. "You are welcome to stay," she said, "but we must know why you come." "I'm just lost," Daniel admitted. "I don't mean any harm. I just need shelter, some food, and a bed for the night." The women nodded as if they understood more than he could imagine. "You may stay," the tallest said. "Follow us." They led him to a central hut, larger than the others. Its door opened to reveal a simple interior. There was a fire burning low, a small table with fresh food, and a bed made of thick woven fibers. Daniel sank onto it with a sigh of relief. "Eat first," said the woman named Ayana. She offered him a plate of roasted meat and vegetables. Daniel hesitated, then took it, his hunger overcoming caution. The food was warm and flavorful, unlike anything he had eaten in weeks. He chewed quickly, savoring every bite. The 3 women watched him, quiet but not unfriendly. He noticed subtle signs, a touch of a hand on the table, a shared glance, a small smile exchanged between them, that hinted at a deeper plan he did not yet understand. But he was too tired to think about it. All he wanted was to sleep. After he had eaten, they offered him water. He drank greedily, the cool liquid soothing his parched throat. Then they gestured toward the bed. "Rest," said Sani, the playful one with bright eyes. "You need it." Daniel nodded and laid down. For the first time in days, he felt the weight of exhaustion lift slightly. His body sank into the soft bed, his eyes closing almost immediately. The sounds of the village faded, replaced by a deep, dreamless sleep. When he woke, the suns were gone, replaced by the pale glow of twin moons. He felt rested but aware that something had changed. The air smelled faintly different, sweeter, and he heard soft footsteps outside. Curious, he rose and walked toward the door. The 3 women were there, waiting. They did not speak at first. Instead, they handed him small gifts, a carved wooden charm, a bundle of dried herbs, and a small knife with intricate designs on the handle. Each gift was placed gently in his hands, and each woman's eyes lingered on him for a moment longer than necessary. Daniel frowned. "What's all this for?" he asked. Ayana spoke first. "These are for protection. For survival, you will need them here," Sani smiled. "And for comfort," she added. "You will find life here is different, but you can learn to thrive." Tyen, quiet and thoughtful, finally spoke. "We have lived alone for many years, but you are not like the others who have come and gone. You have the strength to survive. And perhaps to join us." Daniel blinked, confused. "Join you?" The women exchanged glances again. "We mean no harm," Ayana said. "We only wish to offer companionship. You are welcome here, as more than a guest if you choose." Daniel felt a mixture of awe, confusion, and unease. He had expected only a bed and food, not this. He looked at the 3 women, each remarkable in her own way, strong, intelligent, and confident, and realized he was seeing a glimpse of something extraordinary. They were survivors, leaders, and now in some way they were inviting him into a new life he had never imagined. He nodded slowly. I don't know if I can," he admitted. "I didn't come here for this. I just wanted to sleep." Sani laughed softly, a sound like wind through the trees. "Sometimes," she said, "life has plans we do not expect. Rest first. Think later." That night, Daniel slept again, this time aware of eyes watching over him, not with suspicion, but with care. He dreamt of the desert, of strange creatures with glowing eyes, of storms that rose like mountains, and of a small village that seemed impossibly safe amid chaos. He woke before dawn, feeling a sense of anticipation he did not understand. The next morning, the women guided him outside. The village was alive with movement, animals grazing, small gardens blooming, and smoke rising from cooking fires. Daniel watched, realizing that the village was thriving because of the women's skill and knowledge. They had carved life from the desert, creating a safe haven where nothing should have survived. As they walked, Ayana spoke. You see, Daniel, life here is not easy. But together we thrive. We watch for dangers, share knowledge, and protect what is ours. You can be part of that, if you choose. Daniel's eyes roamed the valley. He saw not only beauty but also danger. Alien predators roamed nearby, and storms could arrive without warning. But he also saw strength, intelligence, and resilience in the three women who guided him. He realized that surviving here would require more than luck. It would require learning from them and perhaps joining them. Over the next few days, Daniel began to adjust to the village. He learned to fetch water from the underground spring, repair the small solar panels that powered lights, and gather food from the surrounding desert. The women taught him patiently, each in her own way. Ayana focused on strength and survival, Sani on strategy and clever thinking, Tyan on observation and patience. At night, they shared meals and stories. Daniel learned of their pasts, the loss of husbands, the hardships of the desert, and the ways they had survived alone. They spoke of hope, of endurance, and of the bonds that held them together. Slowly, Daniel began to see that their plan was not about control, but about partnership, about survival, and about building a life that none of them could manage alone. One evening, as twin moons rose high in the sky, Daniel sat with the three women outside his hut. The air was cool, the desert quiet except for distant sounds of life. He realized he had never felt safer or more understood. The women looked at him, their eyes reflecting the moonlight, and he felt a connection he had never expected. He understood now that he was not merely a guest. The village had offered him more than shelter. It had offered him a chance to belong. And whether he accepted it or not, the bond had already begun to form. As he lay down that night, Daniel thought about the strange path that had brought him here. He had only wanted a place to sleep, a moment of rest. But fate had led him to a hidden village in the desert, to three remarkable women who had a plan for him he could not yet fully understand. And for the first time in his life, he wondered if this was exactly where he was meant to be.